What's up guys, my name is Your Heroes and welcome back to more Gates of Hell, and today we're going to be looking at another development diary, and this time it's 135. Now if you haven't checked out the other development diaries which I've uploaded, 133 and 134, make sure you go check it out in the link down below or on the top right hand of the screen. But today, as you know, Barbed Wire Studio said in the last development that they were talking about the American units and the wee bit more about the American side, but today we're going to be talking about the German side and the German vehicles, landscapes, units, all, you know, in this development diary. So if you like what you see and you do want to see more, then make sure you like this video, subscribe if you're new, and let's get straight into it. So as you can see, this was part 2. So as I said in my last development diary that there was a part 1 and my suspicions that there's a part 2 coming out, this is part 2 where they talk about the German vehicles. There is quite a lot to go through, but I have, in the past, my development diaries, I have created a Word document to kind of simplify it a wee bit down, so that means I can try to explain it a wee bit better, and hopefully you guys will be able to understand it a wee bit better. First of all, I just want to read out just kind of this first part here, and then we'll go straight into the topics that we'll be going on about. So it says, and I'll just list them for you. So it says, community members, in our previous development update showing part of the US units for the Liberation DLC, we promised we'd show you some of the German units as well. So that's what this blog is about. We also want to show you some of the specifically German buildings and landscapes, and we'll talk about the release planning for Liberation. So they're even suggesting a release date for this game, which sounds absolutely amazing, and that's probably one of the most things I'm looking forward to. I have read over this before starting recording it, and this has to be probably one of the most exciting aspects of this development diary, is the fact that they're announcing possibly our release planning for Liberation, which I can't wait. But let me know down below what you're really excited for. If you have read through this development diary, let me know what you're really looking forward to. So first, we are going to be talking about German vehicles. With the German units, as you know, in the last development diary, they said new German units is going to be released. So that includes like Tigers, even divisions as well. New divisions such as the 116th Panzer Division, as well as the 3rd I don't know how to pronounce it. Apparently in English it's called the 3rd Parachute Division. If I'm right, then let me know, but I think that's right. So this is kind of like the German part of the Liberation DLC, which in the single player, you know, the single player Liberation DLC, and 2 new divisions will be included, which is of course, as I said, the 116th Panzer Division and the 3rd Parachute Division. Now I kind of did a wee bit of research to see what the divisions were, just to do a wee bit of background history, and apparently the 3rd Parachute Division was an elite military unit of Nazi, so I'll zoom it in for you, of Nazi Germany's Luftwaffe that was active during World War II. Its formation began in October 1943 in France near Reims. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, it's French. From February 1944 near Brest. In March 1944, division was reinforced by soldiers from the 3rd Battalion of the 1st Parachute Regiment. So yeah, and as you can see, this was kind of like the logo of the 3rd Parachute Division, or the German name, which I actually can't pronounce. So this is kind of like a wee bit of information, which apparently this took a large part in the Battle of Normandy, which is really interesting, as well as 116th Division, which says the 116th Panzer Division, also known as the Windhund Division, was a German armoured formation that saw combat during World War II. Now that's kind of all it says, but I think another big part of it is that, again, it took part in Normandy, or it took a huge part in Normandy, which is kind of like the real reason why it's in this going to be part of the Liberation DLC. But if you want to find a wee bit more information about this Panzer Division, then go onto this website, which is called Flames of War. I'll link it down below, and what it does, it actually tells you a lot more about the history of the 116th Panzer Division, which I don't really have time to talk about today. But if you want to check this out, then make sure I'll leave a link down below. As I said, they were in the thick of the fighting in Normandy right until the end of the war, yeah. So that'll be the important reasons why they'll be adding these 2 units into the game, as it is crucial to the campaign of Normandy, as well as, you know, fighting the Americans. So I really do like how Barbed Wire Studios are adding a lot of historically accuracy here, which brings in not just American, because Liberation DLC does talk about a lot about the American, and it is, Liberation is basically just about the American faction, how new it is. But the fact they've also added and made a whole development diary about German vehicles and all that really shows that how, you know, they're not just taking one side, they're showing like two sides to the story here of the fighting. By the way, if you hear wind in the background, I do apologize. It's really windy in where I live just now, so I do apologize. So there will also be artillery support if you are a paratrooper or a Panzer commander. So yeah, which kind of, so if you do go on to, if you are doing the campaign and you are take control of the Panzer trooper, or the paratrooper, or the Panzer commander, then you will get, there will be artillery support. And I actually do have some so pictures to show you, which will also be, and there'll also be some like iconic, and these artillery support units will be kind of like, they'll be iconic to the DLC, which kind of lead on to the new, they call it, Barbed Wire should just call it tank hunters, but they're basically just called tank destroyers. And just showing some pictures here, so these are kind of like the artillery support you'll get. So you get like the Hummel, which is right here, you'll get the Grille as well as the, oh, I forgot the name of this one. It's basically just a rocket launcher. It's basically just not a rocket launcher. I forgot the name of it. If you guys know the name of this here where my mouse is, then let me know, because I actually forgot the name of this. But it is actually a really sick photo. I really do love it. As well as you can see, we got the tank destroyers, which is the Nashorn, I believe this is, which kind of looks like it's carrying an 80mm. Again, apologies for the dog. Someone just came into the house. Oh no, what just happened? Oh, everything's going wrong. My dog's barking. Everything is just a disaster. No, I'm joking. So it looks like it kind of carries like an 88mm gun, or 8.8 centimeters, if I got that right. As well as it looks like it's got the Panzer 4, or I think, I can't remember, but this tank is looking awesome with the kind of that winter camo, and the kind of blends in with the environment which it's meant to. So, and I believe again this carries possibly a 8.8 centimeter, as well as you can see like two Nashorns, a couple of Panzers here, and some kind of different variations of the Panzer. So it looks like this kind of group of Panzer here has like a bigger caliber of gun, which kind of goes along, I think that's more of a 90mm or 90mm gun, I'm not sure, but I know kind of, oh, and as you can see here, I've just noticed it now, is that there's a Tiger tank, it's that epic camo, so I love to see that. And I think they already have the Tiger again, but as you can see also, they've got kind of pictured of massive artillery pieces as well, which kind of look like 150, I think, millimeter, but I'm not too sure. But again, let me know in the comments down below which what you think of these new tanks, because I think they're absolutely awesome and definitely bring more diversity to the game, and definitely something that new gamers who play this game will have to get used to and try and find the weak points. But again, there's no really weak points. You can just shoot the tank, because this game is again part arcade, so that what makes it like there's no weak points. You try and shoot it. It's not the best tanks around, especially the Nashorn, considering I can get artillery easy, and it's kind of like that open top. There's no like protection like the Panzer 4. So I would definitely use the Panzer 4 over the Nashorn, but then again, the Nashorn, if you keep it all the way back, it is freaking deadly with that 88cm gun. Okay, moving on to landscapes and buildings and single player. I'm not going to go too much into landscapes and buildings, because in the last video that I did, which basically talked about the landscapes and maps of this new Liberation DLC, which there was a Twitter, I basically posted a whole video about it. But there's the French, Belgium, and German maps coming out with some landscapes as well. But most specifically, that most of them, the landscapes here or the buildings, are many of them are just German ones. So which kind of gives me the idea that most of these maps that you'll see, which I talked about, you know, a couple of days ago in that video, most of these pictures that you saw are most likely German ones. So, but I would still like to see a variation of just French and Belgian ones as well, because if you're seeing only German ones, then it like those pictures that I saw in the video that I made a couple of days ago, which again just talked about all the maps and landscapes, then it doesn't really, I don't really get that different environmental feel that I do with other maps, because for me they kind of look a wee bit, the environment is different, okay, and the way you approach it of course is completely different, but the buildings themselves do look a wee bit similar, and seeing that most of them are just German ones, it don't really give me that feel, that excited vibe that I'm meant to get for new maps and building, especially kind of landscapes, which is kind of the whole point of this building and landscapes announcement. That's kind of that's why I didn't want to go too much for it, because I've already kind of discussed about maps and landscapes in my other video, which you should go check out as well. So interesting, we have finally found out actually what the German campaign will be called in the Liberation DLC. It's called Festung Europa. Now, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that's just the way I pronounce it. But this will be the new name of Festung Europa. To us, they haven't said much else on this about the German campaign besides just the name of it. So we finally have a name, which is really awesome. I do actually like the name of it. It does kind of give that German vibe that you get from the name of it. Again, kind of already talked about landscapes and talked about the summer and autumn landscapes again a couple of days ago. Not so much I need to talk about there. Okay, this one is what I'm actually really shocked about, which is paid or not paid units. Now, I've never really seen this before, unless I'm thinking it's a completely different way that Barware Studios are looking at it. So apparently some new German units will be added for free, some will not, but it will be announced at a later stage. So they haven't announced what German units will be paid or will be free, but what they have said is that paid German units, such as the Liberation exclusive ones, will be part of a doctrine from the current. There you go. Checking my English there. Will be a part of a doctrine from the current German faction. So that's kind of good, because most of us will probably be getting, for those who will be getting the Liberation DLC, then that means it'll just already be part of a doctrine from the current German faction. But the new ones will be added for free, might be part of a separate doctrine, therefore, which kind of makes it good. But therefore, again, if you're saying like the paid ones will be a Liberation exclusive ones, so that gives me a sign that, is there not just one DLC? Is there going to be two DLCs where it'll be Liberation, with the American faction, and your generalized Liberation DLC? Is there kind of like a side Liberation DLC where you maybe have to pay like £1 or £2, or maybe £5, or maybe £3 for the exclusive ones, for Liberation exclusive maybe ones? Because I know in Call to Arms they have like a deluxe exclusive and all that, but if they make Liberation, if they add like maybe a side Liberation DLC, like a smaller paid version of it just for exclusive ones, I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And I know this is kind of like a way of it's not gambling your money away, because you're not gambling anything, you're paying to get for what you get, but there shouldn't be a system where you have to pay to get units. It should be included in the DLC, all of the DLC. So when you say that some units will be added for free and some will not, that kind of gives me an idea, is there just going to be a separate DLC, like a wee mini DLC, which you'll have to pay for units, for new German units, which I think, again, it is completely just mind-boggling. And if they do this, then this will lose some of the community's trust in Barware Studios, because why should we pay for a game to buy units when most of the DLCs that they've released, so they've only released one DLC, but with that one DLC they've added a whole faction with no separate mini DLC where you have to buy separate units, divisions, or whatever you call them. Knowing that this kind of gives me a vibe that there could be like a mini Liberation DLC, separate to the main Liberation DLC, then kind of like pay like £2 or £3 for exclusive, just to pay for exclusive units. It's a really bad idea, and it's just honestly just the worst way just to sell your game, because it doesn't attract new audience members who love like RTS games, if that makes sense. So it feels as like you're just bringing them in to say, right, here you go, here's money so you can be better at the game. And it kind of becomes a pay to win at that point, which you don't want, because this game is definitely not a pay to win, it's a play to win. So and with the DLC, with that one DLC out, it's not a play to win. You're basically just getting an extra faction and some campaigns, and it's not really a pay to win. But if you're actually adding paid units for a separate DLC page just to buy units, you're basically bringing a pay to win scheme, and that's what you don't want for this game. So that's kind of my view. Remember, this is just my view on it, and yours might be different, and Barbara Studios might not even be approaching this, but this is what I feel, and this is what it could be. But what do you think of this? Because I feel quite strongly about this point, and knowing that this could happen makes me feel a wee bit worried. Right, moving on to actually now the most exciting part of this DLC, or this development diary, which is the planning release date, or the planning release, which is really exciting. So if you look on the Liberation DLC page, you'll see that the release date, say on the DLC store page, that'll say it was coming before the end of 2023. But if you actually look on the roadmap on Barbara Studios website, that it was actually meant to be released in Q3 of 2023, which means people would think it'd be released in September. But as you know, we're actually still in September, but we're only a couple days away from September, so it's definitely not looking like they are releasing it in September. So, and they have said, in the development diary, that they've made some really good progress and really far progress, which is amazing to see. But knowing that it's now coming to the end of August, it doesn't look like will come out at the end of September. But then again, I could get completely surprised and might come out the last day of September. But I think it'll probably come now in between October, November time, because then, because that was our planned release, and that just means it's not actually when they were released. That just means they were just telling you when it could be released. So they're not telling you it was going to be 100% released in September. So just remember that. But now that they've updated their roadmap, this will give time to reflect the reality that they're predicting the release in 2023 for the DLC. I said that sentence wrong, but basically you've updated the roadmap to reflect, so you guys can reflect and have a look at the reality, or when they'll actually predicting for the DLC to be released in 2023. Yeah, that's huge, by the way. So they're predicting that this DLC will be out before 2023, which is huge. But then we still got October, November, December, so we have 3 months they have 3 months to get this DLC out, which I can tell will happen. So I'm thinking it'll be October, November now. I'm hoping possibly even the middle of October, but then again, you don't know, they might be adding in new stuff. So this is why they're testing, because you don't know what new additions might add in to the Liberation DLC, that they've not added in development diary. There you go, guys. That is a rundown of the development diary 135, which kind of talks about German vehicles. Overall, with this development diary, my conclusion is that I'm very happy that they're announcing, what new divisions are coming into the game, especially part of the single player campaign, as well as, they're talking about new tank destroyers, new units, which are absolutely amazing. And they've already touched on the landscapes, which I've already touched on in my last video, so make sure you go check that out. But knowing that we now get to know the name of the German campaign definitely does build up the German campaign. I hope they do. I think usually Barbara Studios do kind of release a whole article or another development diary on about the German campaigns, or any campaigns that they do. So I think I will be covering that, hopefully, if it does come out. And then again, I'm very excited to know that most of them are German, but then again, I do wish there was a bit of variety, knowing that there is only knowing that most of them are Germans. I would like to see a bit more vast variety, spreading out, the love for German and not German, Belgium and French buildings as well. So I'm a wee bit kind of disappointed that most specific German ones, but I kind of hope they do mention a wee bit more about that. Something I'm not too happy about, or something kind of I wish that they didn't mention in this, which was the paid or unpaid units. I think this really just kind of puts the DLC off a wee bit, considering that there could be just exclusive ones and like another paid section for units. Again, this is just something that doesn't need to be added and just completely just ruins the game for me, because again, this will possibly start into a pay to win system. But then again, this is just my opinion of what I think of it. Anyway guys, overall conclusion, I absolutely love this development diary. I'm really excited to wait for them to see what happens with the Liberation DLC, and I'm hoping it does come out in maybe hopefully October, start of October, November time. But anyway guys, what do you think of the development diary? Do you think that release date is the most exciting part, or are you liking this new paid or not paid unit system that they're building in? So anyway, let me know what you think, comment down below. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so if we can hit that, that'd be amazing. But anyway, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching and or support, and I will see you in the next video. See you later, and goodbye.